I'm 2 seconds away from selling my house. Why is my escrow always short?
Our property taxes have increased 61%.
Property taxes have gone up so much here in Florida that we have decided to move.
I made a video on here a few weeks back about property taxes in Michigan and how we collectively as a society need to get our property taxes under control for the next generation.
This is a topic near and dear to my heart. Property taxes, your home, your family. As somebody who's been punched in the nose quite a bit by the property appraiser, let's talk about should you have to pay taxes on your home? It's been a really big topic here in the state of Florida and many other states, and some are starting to do away with it. How can they do that? Let's talk about it in this video. I am really fired up about this one because I just got an assessment. There's so much to talk about here. Let's go.
I'm 2 seconds away from selling my house. Why is my escrow always short? Why? Yeah, when I closed on my house, my new bill, it was in 2020, it was $12.96 when I closed on it. Hallelujah, praise God. 4-bedroom, 2-bath. Okay, stay with me because I'm about to put you in my business. When I closed on it, it was $12.96. What they don't tell you in the new bill, the property tax is just a guesstimate. It's an estimate on what they think that property tax is going to be, okay? The next year, my mortgage went up to $2,800. Why? Because your escrow was short $10,000, Miss Mallet. They said, don't worry about it, Miss Mallet. We got you. We gonna pay that shortage for you. Oh, you doing like y'all doing me a damn favor. Well, what y'all do with the money I just paid? What did y'all do? That's when I found out it was just an estimate. Okay, I paid that $2,800 twice. I said that's not feasible. It ain't. I'm a one-income household, so I gave them that money. So I'm thinking my mortgage is going to go back down to $12.96. No, it didn't. It went to like $1,500. Okay, boom. I paid a little extra because I learned that year. I paid a little extra. But what I didn't learn was when you have an overage, when I had an overage the following year, take that money out. Do better than me because I'm going to teach y'all. Take that money and put it back in your escrow account. Okay? Put it back in your escrow. What I do with it, I spent it. Don't you do that. Okay? Do better than me. Fast forward. I'm short again, $2,000. I said I'm not paying that $2,000. They could just put it on my mortgage. My mortgage went up to $1,700. Okay, boom, I'm paying it. Why didn't folks just send me another email this year? Talk about we just did a new report. Your mortgage is going up to $3,000. I mean, you short $3,700. Your mortgage gonna go up to $2,000. Pay it by November the 1st. Who looking to buy a house for $2.50? Let me know.
This is one of the things that gets a lot of people. And it's one reason why I think a lot of people are going to either sell or lose their houses is property taxes and home insurance. They have lost their minds over this. When you go from a vacant piece of property to a piece of property with a large house on top of it, the county wants theirs. The city wants theirs. And they're going to come back and get you. Your lender's supposed to go over this with you, but a lot of people don't pay attention, and some lenders, they just kind of slide it under the table. And it's especially bad when the builder is the lender and the title company and the real estate agent. You probably better ask some questions because they will sneak it in there and this will happen. And before you know it, your monthly payment just went up through the ceiling.
Our property taxes have increased 61% since purchasing this home 6 years ago. And I am just, we got our property tax bill in the mail today and I about fell over. And I don't think that this is a topic that enough people talk about when it comes to talking about home ownership and how you purchase a home and you try to budget for and prepare for different things. But the property taxes are so out of your control. And of course, we expected them to increase a little bit year over year, but 61% in 6 years is just mind-boggling. And I just need to know that I'm not alone. So if you have crazy property taxes, please let me know because this feels crazy. For reference, we are just outside of Atlanta. We are in Cobb County, Georgia, right over the line from Fulton County. And while I am grateful that our home is increasing in value, I am also horrified because everything else, the price of everything else is increasing. And this was the last extra bill that we
so crazy that you can work for 30 years and pay off your house. Have everything, you dress right, welcome to a paid off house. And the county can take it from you for not paying taxes. Isn't that wild? They'll sell it off. They'll pay the taxes, give you the difference, and see you later. How is that right in America, where we're supposed to have property rights and all these things, that they can get some type of assessment? A bunch of county commissioners can get together and say, we want a new fire department. Everybody pay up. And oh, by the way, if you don't pay this assessment, it'll say at the bottom of it that we can take your property. How is that okay? Like for me, I have a paid off house. They send me an assessment for $300. And they say, if you don't pay this at the bottom, we can take your property. You can have a house completely paid for and they can dislodge you. If you have homestead exemption, like in some states you have homestead exemption, which keeps the state or the tax collector from being able, well, usually the county, from being able to raise your taxes insane levels like that. Usually 3% a year or whatever. And it's crazy they can do that. Some of these states don't have homestead exemption. And that is crazy too, that you get a 60% increase in property taxes. And here's where it gets dangerous. Do not think for a minute that if the county wants, or the city wants to put a new stadium in or something they want your land for, your little city block, they will keep raising the taxes until it's unaffordable and you have to sell. How do you think the new Brave Stadium got built? How do you think some of these other stadiums get built? The city will just keep raising taxes till the people that maybe inherited it or low income, they can't pay that big tax bill. They don't know about homestead exemption. They don't know how to keep their taxes down. And before they know it, they got to sell it. And then they sell it to an investor, it gets bulldozed. They put a new parking lot with an ice cream machine, with a skating rink or something. That's how this stuff is done. And I don't know why people don't pitch more of a fit about this. You paid for an item, but you're basically just renting it from the state. Isn't that crazy?
Property taxes have gone up so much here in Florida that we have decided to move. I know a lot of people are feeling the same thing right now. You buy a home, and it's an investment and everything, and you lock in at a price at what your payment's going to be. But when you're in a booming area and a booming state, nothing's locked in. But yeah, we bought in a seller's market and we're selling in a buyer's market, so that's not ideal, but it just kind of is what it is.
I believe that those that have their homestead where their family lives, where they lay their head at night and receive mail, that should not be taxed. What should be taxed is all the Airbnbs, the giant portfolios of properties and all these things these giant hedge funds, corporations have compiled with properties that'll never come back on the market. Let me tell you something. If you raise property taxes on those corporations, those LLCs that own, let's say 15 or more, they would start turning those properties loose. And then the supply would build up on the market to where all of a sudden people can start affording some of these properties. Yeah, I said it. Nobody wants to say that. I'll try to find the map of how many properties in the United States are owned by corporations, and it will shock you. Shock you. And those properties will never come back on the market. They'll exchange from portfolio to portfolio. And what'll make you even more mad is the amount of neighborhoods that were built during the last 3 or 4 years that were completely built to rent. Most of these rich men, these rich corporations, that are rich men, they just own these things in corporations or a conglomerate of rich men. They own these properties and these corporations. They built all these neighborhoods, nice houses, and you can rent them, but you'll never own one. And that's how they did this. They're going to provide housing, but you'll never be able to purchase one of those. And America's got a lot of questions about property rights, and I'm one about property rights. But when a hedge fund can own thousands of properties across America, but yet the first-time home buyer can't own one, start to have some questions. So let's say let's say any corporation over $500 million or holding companies, because that's how they own them. You got a holding company, you got a bunch of LLCs, all independently owning all these properties, and it looks like one corporation, but they all report up to, but there's hundreds of them, and they all come together in one big holding company. And that's where the checks go. And let's say you own $50 million worth of properties, then your taxes double, triple. And it would cause a lot of these properties to start turning over. They wouldn't cash flow anymore and they'd have to get rid of them. But that's a real thing. Comments down below. I want to know your thoughts on this. I want to know. Do we have a housing problem? Do we have a tax problem? I don't think an elderly person should lose their home for taxes, especially when it's paid off. that should be a violation of our core ethics in America. That if you've paid off your home, that should be your castle.
If you just bought a new house, or if you're getting ready to buy a new house and it's a new construction, watch this video. So I just recently saw a post about a girl who was saying that she bought a house and it was the worst decision in her life. And the reason she said that is because she bought a house, and at closing, she paid a certain amount of money for her property taxes. And then a year later, her mortgage doubled. And so this is what happens when you buy new construction. And I kind of want to break it down for people who don't understand what they're getting into, because a lot of times realtors don't explain it. I don't know if they just be trying to get the sale, or if maybe they don't have all the education, but it's very common for first-time homeowners who don't have the experience. So I am someone who basically flips houses, but I flip them by living them, and then I sell them.
Basically what she's doing is she's purchasing the house, living in it, working on it, living there 2 of the last 5 years, selling it tax-free. Contact your own CPA, but if you live there 2 of the last 5 years, you can usually take it tax-free, go to the next property, do it again, do it again, do it again. It's the easiest way for a young man to become a millionaire. I told a young man the other day, you want to become a millionaire by the time you're 30? He was 20 years old. I said, you go buy a house with the most equity you can build out of it, get it at a good price, put your hammock in the corner. Every day you wake up swinging hammers, and instead of going to the bars on Friday night, you're going to Home Depot and you're working on it with some pizza, maybe a couple beers, and you're swinging hammers. You're going to get that house done, and then you're going to live there too. Meanwhile, the ticker's going. You're going to live there 2 of the next 5. You're going to sell it. You're going to go do it again. You can do that 5 times before you're 30. Welcome. You're welcome. You're a millionaire.
You have to be careful, and here's why. So what happens is, when a tax commissioner comes and they survey the land, they basically survey a plot, right? So what you pay at the closing table is not a real number. It's like a made-up number. It's not made up, but it's like a percentage of what the real number is. Once there is a property, a dwelling, a house on the land, when they come back to survey it again, the following year, now they're including the value of the actual dwelling and not just the plot. All right. So that's why your mortgage can double, because what happens is your property taxes may have been $1,500 when you bought your house, but the real property tax amount was probably like $5,000. Right? And then if you live in an area that's being regentrified and it's a lot of new homes being built, maybe hotels, museums, like greenery spaces, stuff like that, that's going to increase your property value as well. So then the following year, the same thing could happen to increase your property value as well. So then the following year, the same thing could happen. Maybe not as bad, but if your property value increases by more than $10,000, so like $20,000, $40,000, $60,000, then your property taxes is going to go up again. So, like, for example, for me, when I closed on my house, my property taxes was about $1,500. The very next year, it was $3,500. The next year, it was $7,000.
Another time they'll come to get you is if you pull a permit and you let's say enclose a space, add an AC unit, property appraiser is going to come out. He's going to snoop around and he's going to look for every which way possible to raise your taxes. That's one of the reasons why they want you to pull a permit on things, is it reports straight to the doggone property appraiser, and he knows that he can come out and reassess you. And if they ever get a chance to reassess you, up it goes, okay? A lot of times property appraiser will drive around these neighborhoods and take note. And they know when somebody added a room, or they know on Zillow when you changed it from 3.1 to 3.2 and all these things. They might not come out and flag your property for not pulling a permit. All of a sudden you'll just look up and your house has been reassessed. Your taxes are going up. It's wild how this stuff works, and it should be criminal. property tax on your home. And I'm like, well, how do we fix the budget? How do we pay for things? Politicians will figure it out. Let me tell you, if politicians need money, they will figure out a way to squeeze you. And here in the state of Florida, we have a big throughput of tourists. We have lots of Airbnbs. We have lots of vacation rentals. We have a lot of sales tax. So you go out there to Pensacola Beach, you're looking at 13.5% sales tax on your margarita when you go to get it, or your oysters, okay? I understand that, and I'm fine with people having to pay taxes when they spend money. I'm not fine with it, but I get it. But on your home, to where you can become homeless on something you've paid for in full, that's criminal. That they can just come in, change the rules on you. I don't like that. What is your thoughts? I believe America, you have property rights. That is your castle.
I made a video on here a few weeks back about property taxes in Michigan and how we collectively as a society need to get our property taxes under control for the next generation. The amount of people that in my comments that were like, well, you should have known the property taxes beforehand. You shouldn't have bought the house. You should be a renter, all the things, right? The higher point that everybody is missing is this whole pull up your bootstraps or you should have known better is no longer going to fly. These younger generations that are coming up behind us, they don't even have hope anymore. So when we talk about, oh, this younger generation, they're silly, they're unmotivated. Well, yeah. Have you seen the houses? Have you seen the cost of what it would actually cost for them to have the same dreams that you had when you were growing up? Because even when we were young and we were in these jobs where we were busting our asses, we knew that eventually we were going to have our own lawn. We were going to have our own home. But these younger generations, they don't even have hope.
Just this year, our monthly mortgage went up nearly $500 a month. And no, it's not because we're new construction. I'm a realtor. I know how that works. We've also been in our house 8 years. It went up because our home insurance, and we've never filed a claim, more than doubled. And our property taxes are through the roof. $500 a month, y'all. That's absolutely insane. Over the last couple of years, I've helped several people move from other states to Texas, whether they move for political reasons, what they assume were going to be affordability reasons, whatever the reasoning. And I've had so many of them tell me that Texas was a pipe dream because of property taxes. Even though it was broken down for them, they were shown how much property taxes estimated were going to be. They did not expect the year over year to increase as much as it has in the past 4 or 5 years. And they didn't feel like property tax versus state income tax was equal. They actually felt like they were making more money and able to keep more of their money in other states that they fled from.
You know, I said at the beginning of the 19 that if you took the budget to zero and people stopped moving and spending money and tax revenue started to fall and they had expenditures of fighting the 19, that they were going to raise taxes to fill the gap. And we're seeing it. Property tax to fund the sheriff's department, all these little county good idea fairies, and to fill the gap of budget constraints of the 19. I got to say that because YouTube hates that word. And here we are. Property taxes are going up. Property values have skyrocketed, giving them the excuse to raise property taxes because they say, well, your house went up, so taxes must go up. Or the fire department's more expensive to run. The library is more expensive to run. The schools are more expensive to run. So therefore, we need to raise property taxes. But if you go back to all my other videos, when I talk about the velocity of money, inflation, what it does to everything, and then now all of a sudden we're seeing it in our taxes. And we're going to see it at the federal level too. This stuff is nuts. There's no end to a politician wanting more money. They never solve any problems. They just ask for more money. And some of this has got to come to an end because people just can't pay anymore. You shouldn't lose a house you inherited, your family house, the castle that you've had for 2 generations because you can't pay property tax. And you live there. That's insane.
I just left the county appraisal district because I decided to protest my property tax. And it's actually a lot easier than you think. I'm also from a smaller town, so there wasn't a lot of waiting or anything. Might be a little bit different if you're from a big city. So your property taxes go into escrow when you make your monthly payment along with your homeowner's insurance, and that is evaluated every single year. So this wasn't one of those situations where the lender got me into the home and underestimated my property taxes. He actually overestimated it so much that I got a $3,600 escrow overpayment check back in January of this year. So that overage check literally lowered my monthly payments by like $380 a month, which is great. But then my tax assessment on my home just came back. I had until June 7th to protest it. I don't know if that's the same or if every county's different. I have no idea. So anyway, this is to keep it from hopefully like...
In my opinion, I don't know which state you're in, but if you have the ability to file for homestead exemption prior to the date, let's say May 1 here in Florida, do it before then, because if you roll over to the next year, they're going to change, they're going to reassess you, and your property taxes are going to catapult upwards. You need to cap it as soon as possible with homestead exemption if your state does that. Do it. My buddy failed to do it for 2 years, and they reassessed him through the face, okay? I mean, they punched him right in the nose. Instead of it being, you know, let's say 170, when the prices of everything kept going up, they just kept letting it fly up to the point where his taxes were insane. And now he has homestead exemption, and he wished he would have taken care of it the day he closed on the house.
Like me having a drastically higher tax bill for 2025, but it was really easy, okay? So all you have to do is, let me just like cover some information, is bring your closing disclosure in, which looks like this, okay? It's a tall sheet of paper, literally like pretty tall, and not even a sheet. It's like 5 or 6 pages, maybe even more. No, it's 6 pages. Anyway, I just needed to bring that to the appraisal district with my driver's license and say that I'd like to protest my property taxes. And then they had someone call me back, and then I gave them my closing disclosure. I don't know what they did on their end, but it was a lot of typing and talking. And then he was like, okay, you're good to go. And then they had me sign a form. It's a settlement and waiver of protest. Let me just cover my address. That's literally what it looked like. They had me sign that, and then that was it. We're good to go. It knocked off about $75,000 of like my home assessment. Now, I'm not 100% sure, but based off my calculations, I do think I'll still have a slight escrow.
Sounds like almost like she was getting her exemptions in order. Be very careful with the tax collector, okay? Don't go saying anything that is not true. We'll find out. If you're Airbnb in that bad boy and you're not living there and it's your homestead exemption in a state, let's say, I'll just talk about the state of Florida. In the state of Florida, they will get you. And you will get penalized all the way back to the beginning. Same way with agriculture exemptions and all that stuff. It is a matter of time before they pull that cannon fuse, okay? Just be careful.
Shortage. I don't think it'll be anything drastic, but I do think it'll be about like $50 to $75 a month after me protesting this tax assessment. So yeah, your property tax, like...
They're going to get her one way or the other. She's not going to just get away with it. I'm not saying she's doing anything wrong. I'm just saying anytime you play the game with the county and you're trying to get your taxes down further, and then one day you go to sell it, just be careful with this stuff. There's a lot to talk about on that, and you need to go talk to your local assessor, and you need to have the conversation, see what you can do. Sometimes you can reassess these things. Like, let's say, like my dad changed one piece of property from high density residential to farmland because he wanted his cows to, to graze out there and not pay taxes. Terrible mistake. Terrible mistake. Be careful with this stuff. But I wanted to talk about this because I am fired up about property tax. We shouldn't have to pay on something we've already paid for because politicians want to add services. I get it. We need some services. I don't think people should lose their home for taxes. It just doesn't make any sense. I also don't really think that a lot of people that don't have kids in the school system or never will have kids in the school system should have to pay all these school board taxes and all these school taxes. I get it. But like in my area, the school system is cracking because people have chosen not to go into the public school system. They're starting all these private schools all over the place. I've talked about it in many videos. So should those people have to pay for public schools? Real question. Should they? Why can't they just take that money and then go fund their own school? Big question there. A lot of people think we have to have a public school system, but it is failing in a lot of places. It's not doing its job. The school boards keep their jobs. Schools keep getting worse and worse. When you have to worry about your child's safety going to school, I've got a lot of questions about that. But that's for another video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. If you're looking to buy or sell real estate on the Gulf Coast of Florida or Alabama, my email's down below. I'd be happy to help you. And if you're looking for an agent anywhere in the country, I'd be happy to find you one. My email's down below. I'll do my best to help you out on that. And this is a good question. The governor, many governors has been talking about getting rid of it, and I think it's a thing, but I don't think the state legislature, because politicians will be politicians, will ever do anything about it. But I will say we did get open carry in the state of Florida. I think that was by accident, and the politicians weren't thinking about that, but it's unconstitutional here in the state of Florida to keep us from being able to open carry. America. See you guys in the next video.